You guys are the coolest, and thank you very much for tolerating all of our little idiosyncrasies, and we'll get him back on. But in the meantime, I was going to read poetry for my second reading, and it was the book that he was showing off at the zoo. As I had said, these are based on accepted writings within the book, and so I'm like, I have to have like zebras, but then why don't I have some giraffe for the back cover? Why not? It seems like a thing to do. So I was going to share with you 3 poems that appear on the back of this book. And as I was saying, when I realized, I'm like, wait, I've done a lot of these in shows. Let me try to show photos from them, but they're often video stills and not that great. But might as well share that these were actually performed in places. This first one was in a show that was called Destruction Instructions. So it's a short piece that was done for the show. I think John came on with me with an electric bass even for it was cool. But this is called 102 Destruction Instructions, Self-Destructive. I've been self-destructive before, and you liked me then. Should I go back? Go back to those days where it didn't matter who I was with? Because why would it matter unless it was you? But maybe I can't do that to myself anymore. Because now it's about time to turn it all around. Because if you think for a second we're going to stay content with injuring ourselves, when really it's been so second nature to you to hurt us over and over again, justifying it, saying, that's the way it always is. Because how were we self-destructive before? How did you like us when we did ourselves in and what we succumbed to for you? Well, we're tired of acting helpless. You haven't begun to see how strong we really are, because we've seen how you work, and as I said, it's now time to turn it all around, because I'll use your tricks and make you self-destructive. And once the tables are totally turned, you'll feel how we women feel when the cards have been perpetually stacked against you and you have no power at all. That was a shot from the reading for the Destruction Instructions. I'm just showing it off, and yeah, they're tiny and not in color. And that's my proof that John was playing the electric bass when we were doing these pieces. But the next 2 pieces are actually science fiction-y, and no, they're not periodic table, but they relate to Star Trek. I was asked to do poetry features at ChiCon, which is this Chicago science fiction fest, and so I had to come up with poetry, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to, I'll just do Star Trek stuff, why not? And I don't have my Star Trek ring with me, so I will tell you the actual shows that these were for. This was from a, you don't care when, it was a show called Resistance is Futile, and this one is called Eugene's Limit. Just read an article in the Daily Times of India newspaper that relayed the theory that an interstellar-style wormhole may exist in the Milky Way. That there's this teleporting tunnel we could just magically step through and it just pops us out somewhere else in the universe. But really, a wormhole is just a theory with a catchy little name that has no basis in reality. And no one's even found a stable wormhole. Even Data and LaForge left the Barzan wormhole after discovering how unstable it really was. So I guess Star Trek has to settle for just going beyond the speed of light with their precious warp drive. And you know, scientists have only now begun to able to actually finally figure out how to slow down the speed of light. Warning, science content. Researchers say that applying a mask to an optical beam would give it actual spatial structure, and that could reduce its speeds an infinitesimally small amount from that beautiful constant of 299,792,458 meters per second. And if all we've been able to do is try to slow down the speed of light, how will they ever get to Eugene's limit of warp 10? You know, it's really cute how we come up with these names for scientific discoveries. The Big Bang wasn't a bang when there wasn't even any atmosphere to allow sound to travel. Dark matter is it's not dark at all. It's just a name that some scientists said, and it was, for some reason, it just stuck. And Eugene's Limit is an homage to the next generation, to Gene Roddenberry, who thought that warp drive shouldn't go past 10. So yeah, thanks to Gene Roddenberry in the 24th century, infinite velocity will have to be the unattainable warp factor 10. But wait a minute, let me get back to the science here. Because when it comes to those science geeks who come up with these theories like the Big Bang or dark matter, or they try to bring Star Trek into the real world, well, they're trying dilithium now to try to increase the speed for distance travel for future journeys to Mars. And I don't know how many years scientists have been trying to transport even an atom to anywhere else in the world. But, you know, with these scientists' minds out there, well, the writer Gene Roddenberry may have to come up with a warp drive limit, but when scientists are taking their cues from the Star Trek world, the sky may not be the limit any longer. Yeah, and I did try to dress in a suit that looks as, you know, Star Trek-y as you can for these shows, but these are just some video stills, and I'll probably have another one at the end of this, because this was from the second show I had to do for it, and it was called Imzadi. And if anybody knows Star Trek, you understand resistance is futile and Imzadi, as goofy as they are. But this one is called Full Stop. When you're driving down the expressway, and you see the rush hour traffic slowing the lanes down, but you look up and you catch a car in front of you at a full stop, and it's a lot closer than you realize. You slam on the brakes as hard as you can. You feel your car shuddering and screeching until you can feel your car rock back and forth from the brakes until you come to a full stop just in time. In our short time here on planet Earth, we all understand the concept of a full stop. In the UK, a full stop is another term for a period to bring a sentence to a full stop. But in Star Trek, Captain Kirk, Jean-Luc Picard, or even Commander Riker have all been known to tell their crew to take the Enterprise to a full stop. But I have to ask, in relation to what? In relation to the stellar objects nearby? Because from what I've heard, the universe doesn't sit still, and that everything is just expanding away from everything else. Are we at a full stop right now on Earth when the planet spins and orbits the sun, and our solar system is at the edge of an arm of the Milky Way galaxy, spinning like mad? And think of it, our own galaxy is speeding away from other galaxies, everything else out there too. So what is full stop, I'd have to ask? A full stop in relation to what? Because without a reference point, we're all just moving faster than we can imagine. It never stops. But I mean, it feels like we're still. So I guess it's all just relative. If you're in an unmoving line at a grocery store, or even if you've turned off the engines of the Enterprise, you can at least say that suddenly everything feels like a full stop. Everything just feels like a full stop. So that was your Star Trek reference. That was about as, you know, sci-fi as you can get out of me. So I don't know if Generalissimo Brian Franco is able to read anything else, or if he has to boogie. Perfecto, groovy on a stick. Then I hope. Do you want to? Yeah. Look at the time. Yeah. If you want to read those last two because it was cutting in the middle of the second one, then go do that. The stage is yours. Take it away.